Imagine a world where there's no life form, where nothing exists. Elements exist. So there is rocks and water. You have reached a planet, say Mars or Jupiter, and there is no life there. So basically there is fire, there is wind, there are the elements, the 5 elements, but no life. What is that one thing that separates the biological sciences from physics and chemistry? And there's only one word really. At a technical word for it is metabolism. An emotional word for it is hunger. All living creatures are hungry. They're looking for food. So whether it's a microorganism, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, what you have is hunger. When a child is born, the first thing it does is cry. It's hungry. It's hungry for what? Oxygen. It's hungry for food. It needs breath. It needs nutrition. It needs nourishment. And it looks for food. So now food becomes important. Now the world of biology is only that. Whether you're studying botany, whether you're studying zoology, whether you're studying microbiology, you're really studying the quest for food. So now look at plants and look at those leaves. It's because they are hungry. Look at those animals, figure out why they have jaws or claws or fur. It's because they're hungry. They're looking for food. And they're trying to survive. And the word survival comes into the picture. They even die. So death comes into the picture. Fear comes into the picture. They don't want to die. They want to stay alive. Suffering comes into the picture. Because when there's no food, there is suffering. When there's old age, there is suffering. All these words a student of physics doesn't deal with. In chemistry, you don't deal with all this. But the moment you talk about biology, new words start appearing in our vocabulary. And then you enter the world of human beings. And the reason I'm separating human beings from the world of biology is because one new thing emerges. It is called imagination. There is imagination in the animal world, technically there is, but nothing in the human scale. Nothing. And what does imagination do? You can imagine alternate realities. You can imagine a world which is different from the one that you experience or have experienced. That's what imagination does. When you say I have a hypothesis, it means you're using your imagination. When a human being took a piece of rock and then he carved it and turned it into a blade, he could imagine it. He could imagine, I could take a piece of stone, I could take a piece of wood and tie it and turn it into an axe. No animal can do that. You could imagine a pot that can create a utensil to carry water. We could imagine controlling fire, controlling water. This imagination is where innovation comes in, invention comes in. This imagination is where technology comes from, knowledge comes from. If you didn't have imagination, you wouldn't have knowledge. You're not just mimicking, you're not just following an instinct, you're understanding. You have cognition. And this is what makes us human. And therefore, we are able to create domesticated ecosystems. We are able to create farms, we are create ability to control animals, we control nature, we now have electricity. Everything that you see over here is the result of someone's imagination. You can trace the history of it and you'll say, oh, this one's imagination created electricity. The design, color, texture, material, everything that you see around you is the result of imagination. It comes from the cerebrum, the fact that you have grey cells. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't have the ability to imagine. And so if you understand the process of humanity, we are moving from the world of inanimate objects to the world of organisms, to the world of organisms who can imagine. Those who imagine. Now that's where magic happens. Imagination. But now imagination does something very peculiar. It tells you the world can go on without you. Imagination tells you that you really don't matter. Because before you people existed, they went and life still continues. And you start imagining what happens after death. What happens before birth? Did I exist before I was born? Do I exist after I die? Does my life have any meaning? And this has been happening ever since humans have imagination. We can imagine about imagination. This is a very strange space. And this is nothing unique to you or me. Our ancestors, 10,000 years ago people thought about it, 10,000 years from today, you will have it. With all the technology in your hand, it makes no difference. Because the imagination tells you you don't matter. We just suppress it very cleverly. We just suppress it. We don't discuss it. Unless you have an existential crisis. And you say, what's the point? Usually happens when you're studying in colleges. What's the point of life? When you have to give a submission. Usually when you are studying in the middle of exams, you think of spirituality a lot. Yeah. You forget about it the moment you get your grades. But usually it happens because what's the point of it all? You're grueling, working hard, miserable conditions, horrible teachers, terrified parents. Life is so sad. This is when poetry happens. Guitar happens. Chemicals happen. I know you'll not talk about it. Because you want to escape, because you've been locked into a cage, an intellectual cage. And you know it, and there is no escape. And that is when these thoughts come. So imagination is this furnace inside us. It's the world of possibilities inside you, it's not outside you. It's unlike nature. Nature is outside you, but imagination is inside you. And from this imagination come stories that help you give meaning and structure to your life. Some of these stories are passed on over generations, so that you don't have to deal with the terror of life. So every tribal community in the world, around the world you have tribal communities. They will have a set of rituals that they'll follow. They'll follow the rituals of the seasons to give their lives rhythm and structure, so that they don't have to think about it. When it's summer, you'll perform this ritual. When it's winter, you'll perform this ritual. When it's rains, you'll perform this ritual. When someone is born, you'll perform this ritual. Everything is laid out for you. You don't have to think. And it's nice. Life is good because everything is controlled and contained by those rituals. So the earliest signs of human civilization are burial sites. People bury. Why do you bury the dead? Technically speaking, when you're dead, you're garbage. You should just throw it in the garbage bin and let the garbage collectors take your body away. Why do we decorate the body and embalm the body and entomb it? Technically, it makes no rational sense. We are giving ourselves meaning. It's an absurd act from a rational point of view. It has no meaning. We give it meaning, and therefore the word meaning comes into the picture. We're giving the dead body meaning. Imagine somebody spent all their life building a tomb to themselves. Have you seen the Taj Mahal? That's what you have to understand. When you look at these gigantic structures like the pyramids, that's what imagination does. That's the power of mythology. That's mythology, because mythology is what you believe is true. It is not measurable. You see, measurable truth is what I call fact. Something that you can measure, that you can experiment with, that you can observe. So fact is everybody's truth. You can't argue with measurement. You can't argue with experiment. Fantasy or fiction is nobody's truth. It doesn't matter. But myth is somebody's truth. You believe there is God. You believe there is justice. Do you believe in justice? Is it real? Is there empirical evidence for its existence? Do you believe in equality? You know, as long as I say God, it's very safe. Mythology is God. But the moment I say mythology is justice, people get uncomfortable. Because God is magical creatures, right? Gods, angels, soul, justice, equality. Is equality real? Is it a measurable phenomena? Or is it a myth that we want to live with? Suddenly the word of mythology changes, no? This is not about gods, it's also about equality. It is about justice. There are many cultures where justice is not a concept. There are many cultures where equality is not a concept. For thousands of years, humanity existed without believing in justice or equality. Aristotle didn't believe in equality. Plato didn't believe in equality. They didn't understand what it meant. They just understood that they were superior. Women were inferior. Other races were inferior. It's okay. They didn't find it odd because the people in front of them, the Persians believed that, the Japanese believed that, the Chinese believed that, the Indians believed that. The idea of equality is a very recent phenomenon. In fact, equality as an idea comes to the world through Christianity and Islam. If these two great religions didn't exist, equality as an idea wouldn't exist. But it is not there in every part of the world. It's not there in African tribes. It's not there in Southeast Asian tribes. It's not there in Native American tribes. Its idea doesn't exist. But we would like to believe it exists everywhere because we like it. That is the meaning of somebody's truth. It is not universal. The moment you accept it is not universal, it starts creating tension. Because imagine an entire community which doesn't believe in God. They just don't. We call them Buddhists. Buddhism does not have the concept of God. Jainism does not have the concept of God. And these are thriving religions with a long history of several thousand years. And they've done well for themselves. Buddha didn't need God. Somebody asked him, does God exist? And his answer was, and of course we don't know whether it's real, but that's the story. He said, when you are shot by a poisoned arrow, will you go in search of the archer? Or will you go in search of the doctor? If somebody shoots you, let me put it in modern language. If somebody shoots you, will you go in search of who shot you? Or will you go to the doctor? What will you call? 911? Will you call the police or the emergency services? What does social justice demand?
Police.
You saw? These are questions which have been there all the time, in all societies. Who do you call? Do you solve the problem? Do you punish the perpetrator of the crime? So mythology is the world of somebody's truth. That's a simple definition to remember. Myth is somebody's truth. It's the world of art, culture, heritage. It doesn't make rational sense to all. I have never understood the point of the pyramid. It's a waste of resources. Rocks piled on top of each other to create a gigantic mountain where one shouldn't exist. But it mattered to the people who built it. They spent generations building it. I can't dish it. I can't say that, silly people. Because for them it was the most important structure in the world. They spend their entire life building it. They believed in an afterlife. They have stories, symbols, and rituals to explain the existence of the pyramid. I can't judge it by a 21st century standard. They don't have benefit to the ideas and the information that I have. My imagination and my mind is wired differently from them. And therefore I need to have empathy to see other people's truth. So mythology is the ability to study other people's truth. Other people's truth manifests only in three ways: stories, symbols, rituals. Just three ways. There are only three ways. So there's a story that you hear. Once upon a time, there was God and He created the world out of nothingness. Or, the world always existed. It didn't need a God to create it. There is no beginning, there is no end. It just comes and goes. Different stories. Or symbols. Various symbols of the divine. For some people, dove is the symbol of beauty and life. For others, doves are just flying rats who poop all over the place and destroy beautiful buildings. But somebody decided it is God's animal. This is so beautiful, white, until it shits on you. Yeah, so the dove becomes a beautiful animal. For some people, serpent is the symbol of the devil. For some people, it's a fertility symbol, which is real. For some people, so if I worship a serpent, now if I come from a point of view the serpent is the devil, and I come to a village where I see people worshipping serpents, are they devil worshippers? Or do I have empathy to understand their truth and understand that they see the world differently, and therefore their truth expresses itself in a very different ritual, a different symbol, and they look at life and the world very differently. So stories, symbols and rituals around the world. So when we say there is diversity, today everybody talks about diversity. Every company that you go to will say we have diversity. And by diversity they usually mean a good photograph where there are adequate number of black and brown people, an occasional woman and a partial gay person. Just enough with a nose ring maybe. That's it. The photograph is perfect because it expresses diversity. That's the limit of most people's understanding of diversity. A great photograph. But that's not diversity. Diversity is the ability to understand that different people think differently. There are different kinds of ways of looking at the world. And nature is designed around diversity. Diversity is not somebody's truth. It is fact because it is measurable. Equality is somebody's truth. Diversity is not. Because wherever you go in the world, you will see diversity. Equality, not so sure. You will see diversity everywhere. Men are not the same as women. All women are not the same. All men are not the same. All heterosexuals are not the same. Everybody is different. And therefore, when you live in a world of diversity, and everybody's talking about the world of diversity, it means you need to be equipped to understand other people's truth. And that is where mythology plays an important role. It is the technology, the tool that allows you to have conversations with people who are different from you without you wanting to win the argument. Because nowadays, everybody seems to be interested in having debates. Debates is just intellectual warfare. We have just transplanted violence from the battlefield to the debating centers. And it's just war. It's just war. It's sophistry. It's word sophistry. It ultimately comes down to, am I better with English? It's lawyers having a slugging fest. It's really a bar brawl happening in a very civilized ecosystem. In the mind, of course, all kinds of four-lettered words are being spoken. Those who understand Hindi, I can say BC and MC. But you don't say that. You'll say, my respected and venerable opponent. We know exactly what the translation is. That's what debate is reduced to, which is basically saying that your truth does not matter. And this is how civilization has been created in the last 100 years. It's time to change. We're talking about diversity. We can't have old techniques like debates. It's passé, it's over. How will you debate with a person who lives in the jungle, who doesn't know your language? How do you debate with him? He has not appointed lawyers, but you are going to take over his land and kick him out of the land for development. He has no voice. In a diverse world, why should I speak your language? Why should I follow your ritual of debate? Who decided the rules of the conversation? Who decided that this is the way we should function? You. Diversity is we function differently. I don't follow those rules. I follow different rules. And it's okay if you don't follow those rules. How do I function in a diverse ecosystem? Do we have a vocabulary? Do we have a technique, a technology? Debate won't work. Democracy won't work. Consensus won't work. Collaboration won't work. You will never be on the same page. That's why you're diverse. You're not supposed to see eye to eye. That's why you're diverse. You need a different method. Because different truths, there are different truths in the world, different ways of looking at the world. You are a devout believer in Jesus. The person in front of you doesn't believe it. How do you work together? How do you live together? How do you enjoy life together without knocking each other out? Because you don't carry the burden of the other person agreeing with you. It's okay to disagree and still live in the same house and have a great meal. It's okay. And you don't agree all the time. Think about it. Those who go on a first date, you always agree on the first date so that you can score. And if that is successful and good, all adults in the room, right? just trigger warning. And if the score, if it was a bad night, next day you will disagree. Because you don't know, there is no motivation to agree anymore. So life changes. Everything changes. Talk to your parents. They will tell you everything. What happened before marriage, after your birth. We are together only because of you. That horror story, that burden, that guilt you have to deal with. But that is life. Life is about dealing with fluctuating, dynamic diversity of thought. Mythology allows you to see other people's truth in a structured way, in a systematic way. So you can listen to people, talk to people. The method, the words that are there in Sanskrit, there are two words in Sanskrit. One is called vivad, argument, where one is trying to be right. Either you are right or I am right, or we together construct another right, a third right, which we will together sort of come to consensus and come to that conclusion. But it is necessary that at the end of the conversation, at the end of vivad, there is only one idea. The alternate model is samvad. I listen to you, you listen to me. You work with the ideas I give you, I work with the ideas you give me. At the end of the conversation, we do have two great ideas, not one. Not one idea, but two. It's not a better idea. I'm smarter than what I was before the session. In a vivad, you move either having won, lost, unhappy, miserable. You feel triumphant, as if you had gone to a battlefield. But in a samvad, it is like lovemaking, where both are satisfying each other. And each one is happy because you're contributing to the other's knowledge. The word in Sanskrit for this is Manthan Churning. So when you see churning, or those who have never seen what a churning is like, because when you see the image of a churning, just Google churning and churning of the ocean. It has a force and a counterforce. Right? Now think of a force and a counterforce. In a vivad, in an argument, both of them work simultaneously. And that's called what we call, in Hindi it's called rassakasi, or tug of war. One of them will win, right? This is the tug of war. This is not Manthan. This is vivad. But now, Manthan is churning. Force, counterforce. When the force is pulling, the counterforce has to pause. When the counterforce is pulling, the force has to pause. If you pull and don't stop at all, you will unwind the churn. You'll destroy the churn. So it's a choreographed performance. You pull, I pull. You pull, I pull. You pull, I pull. Pull, pause, pull, pause. It's a tango. It's a dance. That's Manthan. It's not tug of war. It's a churn. This is not understood by intellectuals around the world. I travel a lot. I see a lot of people. Everybody says collaboration. What they mean is tug of war, arm wrestling. That's what happens in a debate. I'm right, you're right. I'm right, you're right. I'm right, you're right. And therefore unhappiness. Around the world, Fox News, Republic TV, they are not interested in solutions. You go to the parliament in India, it's like crazy people talking. You have cabinets where there are no women. And you're like, what diversity? What churning? The forces are not there. You need multiple forces, force and counterforce and force and counterforce. So when you understand Indian mythology, for example, it's obsessed with forces. You study Chinese mythology, you will see the diagrams which are done if you study Qi. It will keep talking about yin and yang. Let's look at simple, popular understanding. Yin and yang, two forces, which is more powerful? One cannot exist without the other. If you draw the diagram, at the extreme form of one is the other. Look at the diagram. The yin and yang. What is the symbol of India? The wheel. Constant dynamic. Which is on top, which is on the bottom. It's constantly changing. It's never... It incorporates time. It incorporates time. That's why the wheel. The wheel is time. It's churning. It's movement. We are constantly hurtling towards something. Right? So that's what mythology is about. When you study mythologies of the world, you have to ask yourself, when you talk about East and West, we use these words very casually. For me, it's very specific. The Western myth, unfortunately, focuses on debate. The Indian myth, I won't say the Eastern myth, because East is China and India, focuses on conversation. Somewhere along the line, Samvad has gone down and Vivad has risen. We need to restore the balance. And therefore, conversations like this. The whole point of Drishya, to see. What do you see? Do you see the material or do you see the psychological? I can see the material, I can see the physical body. I can't see your mind. But it is your mind which is occupied in this place, hopefully. It is there the magic happens. The material body is merely a container of it. Drishya is what do you see? Do you see Drishti or Divya-Drishti? For those who don't understand, Drishti means sight and Divya-Drishti means insight. What matters more? Sight or insight? Everybody has sight. Not everybody has insight. So Drishti to But to make sense, a good scientist, what does a scientist do? Everybody measures, right? Measure, you have an Excel sheet, you do the pivot table, you impress people with those graphs. What does it mean? How do you apply it in your life? Insight, Divya-Drishti. And what does the next level of it is, how do you transform the insight? Because your insight is eventually a function of who you are. The more arrogant you are, the less insight you will have. A good scientist will never be arrogant because he wants to improve the quality of his insight. So to understand yourself, you need to understand Darshan. Look at yourself. And that's what mythology is all about eventually. You make the journey from Drishti to Divya-Drishti to Darshan. From sight to insight to introspection. And I hope you all find your way and figure out what your life is all about from the world of physics, chemistry, biology, psychology, and eventually mythology. Thank you.